Namaste, Fist Pump Angus here. Today we got a video on how to optimize your fast with Lumen. So a lot of people might think I'm an anti-fasting person. I'm not. I've been fasting since about 2007 on off. I've done like 5 straight years of 16-8, way before it was super popular. I think fasting is great, but a lot of people don't understand how fasting is working or how it can be working for them. And a lot of people are just leaving results on the table. So one of the main reasons you want to fast is for improved fat loss. That's the main reason. People will list some reasons like improved performance, autophagy, mental clarity, and all those things are true. And we're going to cover all those. So the main one is fat loss. So the biggest mistake I see people making with fasting is, especially with Lumen, is the Lumen will then give you, so quick rundown of what Lumen is. So Lumen just measures CO2 in your breath. Less CO2 means fat, more CO2 means burning carbohydrates. And there's a ratio between that. You can burn both at the same time. I know people don't believe that. So what people think also is that Lumen is measuring ketones. It's not measuring ketones. It's just measuring your CO2 on how you normally burn your fuels. If you kind of drop down that level into fat burn, your body can start decreasing into ketosis. So Lumen doesn't measure ketosis, and when you're actually burning and using ketones, it will look more like a carbohydrate reading. So if you're doing, say, a 16-8 fast, you wake up in the morning and you're in fat burn, and then later on in the day, you measure and you're 4, 2 things are happening. One, you're in ketosis. Does your breath smell like dog doo-doo? Do you have a cheap alcohol breathalyzer? Are you triggering that? Obviously, you haven't had any alcohol because you're fasting and it's the morning. If you're triggering that, you're producing ketones. Congratulations. You can also use ketone sticks and other things, but primarily coming out in the breath. If that's not happening, you have stressed your body with the fast. So dieting is a stress, fasting is a stress, exercise is a stress, everything is a stress. And when you're in stress, you move your central nervous system over into fight or flight. The fuel for fight or flight is carbohydrates, because it's there to fuel you for fight or flight. Both of those things require action. If you're going to fight someone or you're going to run away from someone, you want some carbs in the system. You don't want to be doing that in fat burning mode. Fat burning mode is more rest and digest, which comes to the mental clarity. So one of the reasons that you got mental clarity during a fast is, particularly if you're measuring a 1 or a 2 in Lumen, is that your muscles are using fat, which is requiring most of your energy, and your liver has a direct line up into your brain of glucose, because your brain runs on glucose. I know people love to talk about ketones in your brain and blah, 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 but it's really that your brain is getting an uninterrupted supply of glucose to the brain, and your muscles are using fat, and that's an ideal place to be. Your brain's on fire, and your brain doesn't have to compete with the limited glucose in your body, so your muscles aren't competing with your brain. It's the same with digestion. If you're digesting a lot of food, this is why you don't eat just before workout, because all the blood comes out of your body and goes into your digestive system to work your digestive system, or all the food or all the blood comes out of your digestive system to go into your muscles. That's why you really shouldn't do both at the same time. That's why people will do themselves if they're getting chased by a lion. It's because the body just wants to clear out the digestive system, because it's no longer in action and it's not working. So you only have enough blood for digestion or moving muscles. So in the morning, particularly fasting, you got no blood in the digestive system, so it's not competing for resources. The muscles are happy using fat because you're in a low power mode, and your brain gets an uninterrupted supply of glucose. Again, glucose, carbohydrates are not the enemy. So that kind of covers that. The other problem I see is people aren't fat adapted. So people think fat adaptation is all through food and nutrition, and it does play a huge part. But one of the problems is your mitochondria just isn't trained enough. You have to physically train it. So the longer you're in fat burning mode, the more you're teaching your mitochondria, the more it's learning, hey, we're going to use fat, but it's using fat at a certain level, power level. As soon as you start moving your body and start implementing more movement, your muscles are then going to start asking for more carbohydrates. That is my cat there, look. Hello. You're going to start using more. I found this on the web. Oh my God, Suri, please calm down. So I'm going to use this cup here. Just a normal cup. I'm going to use this lemon. So this is a carbohydrate that fits inside the cup. no problem, because that mitochondria, the couple represents mitochondria, this is the glucose, boom, can just go in there, no problem, because the glucose is nice and small and it's very efficient for your mitochondria to do it. Fat comes in all different shapes and sizes. So fiber becomes a short-chained fatty acid, similar to this. So it can just go in there, short-chain fatty acid, no problem. That's why fiber is really good to have, because your gut bacteria break it down and create short-chain fatty acids. Let's get something slightly bigger. So this would be a medium-chain triglyceride. That also fits in there. MCT oils, that's why people use MCT oils, and it's a more efficient or faster using fat. But a lot of the fat, long-chain fatty acids, particularly what we have in body fat, look like this bad boy, and it just doesn't fit into your mitochondria. So it takes ages for this to process, and as soon as demand comes from your body, even just me waving my arms, demand comes, the body goes, get rid of that, shove the carbs in, shove the carbs in, shove the carbs in. Whatever goes into the cell eventually gets broken down, boop, 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 and then you breathe it out as carbon. So you're either breathing out carbon from carbohydrates, or you're breathing out carbon from fat. Boom. So that doesn't fit in there. So what is the secret? It's to train your body with low intensity exercise. Walks are great. The ebook that I wrote on it is low intensity training, and I have like a guide. It's not a one size fits all guide, but it fits most people. And the goal that I like for people to do is 170 minus your age. That's the heart rate you want to have. And then you want to pedal on the bike and you want to produce watts, and you want to be 1.5 times your ideal body weight. So say your ideal body weight is 60 kilos, you're a female, your ideal body weight is 60 kilos. And to make the maths really easy, you're 40 years old. So you're 40 years old, your ideal body weight is 60 kilos. You might be heavier than that, but that's your ideal body weight based on your height. And that's just guesswork. You can just be like, yeah, 60 kilos. I was once 60 kilos in high school. I would like to be that. So 60 kilos is 90 watts. You're looking to produce 90 watts. 170 minus 40 is brain work, 130. So you are looking for your heart rate 130, not to go over 130, and you want to be able to produce 90 watts. So if say you can produce 120 watts and your heart rate doesn't go over that 130, this cup is bigger. You can use more fat, boom, and you will process more fat. If, however, like a lot of my clients that start off, they're actually a lot less. They're holding like, say, 68 watts. So they're holding 68 watts and their heart rate's up at that 130, they're of that age, blah, blah, blah. Then they have a small hold there and they can't burn fat efficiently. And those people will find themselves on a fast. Every time they've got some activity or some stress or some demand on their body, they will find that their lumen numbers will increase, will go up. So by training this low intensity exercise, you're going to increase the size of mitochondria. And this low intensity exercise is not some secret, it's not some crazy thing. Tour de France cyclists are doing 80-20, 80% of the work in this low intensity zone 2 area, and another kind of 20% in this high intensity. Even the Tabata protocol, which is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, the true protocol, that's just one element. The rest of it's just all this bunch of low intensity stuff to make your fat burning better. So if your fat burning is better, then you add your carbohydrates, you can just produce more power and you can be more efficient by using fat and carbohydrates to cycle some of your hard stuff. So I wonder if we've gotten off track. I don't know. So by using Lumen, you can see where you're at on your fast and what you're using. So we'll quickly jump into part 2 here. So this morning I was a 3. Yesterday's calories were low. The calories are important because it's going to give me an indication of how much fuel is coming into my body. So if my calories are low, my body has a choice. It can use my lean tissue to make fuel, or it can use my fat to make fuel. And this morning was a 3, so we've got 50-50 carbs and fat. So what's happening there? Maybe my body's just leaking out some carbohydrates from my glycogen, or maybe it's breaking down muscle tissue because I'm too stressed. We don't know. So what I chose to do was fast just a little bit longer. So 8:30, after a 12-hour fast, I'm burning carbs, give it a couple of hours, and then I'm burning a 2. So that's cool. My body has transitioned down for whatever reason, just some hangover of carbs, too much cortisol in the morning, because when you're dieting, your cortisol will peak even higher in the morning than it normally would, and you would release a little bit more glucose into the bloodstream. So now I'm at 2. So now I have a choice to eat or not eat, continue my fast or eat. On another day where I wake up at 1 or 2 in the morning, I can again choose to eat or not to eat, and I can drag out that fast for as long as I want by measuring Lumen kind of say every hour. And if I measure every hour, I can make an indication of how well. For me, it works perfectly. I can fast 20 hours and be in fat burn all the way through. At some point in that, I start to get hungry, so I want to eat something. And it also depends on what physical activity that I'm going to be doing that day. So I'll kind of extend my fast or have a kind of less calorie day on non-activity days. And then on activity days, I'll tend to have a little bit more calories to eat. Anyway, nice ramble on fasting and how to use Lumen as a tool. Check out the description box for any relevant links that I may have measured. And if you've got any questions, just drop them in the description box and hit like and subscribe and all that stuff. And if you like these videos, please let me know and I'll make more of these videos on how to kind of use Lumen as a tool.